All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All the sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. And the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent. I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent. I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. Vajra Sama Bajra Samaja Bajra Samaja. Protectors of all sentient beings without exceptions, deities who vanquish the ruthless hordes of Maras, knowers of everything as it is, Bhagawans and your retinues, please come here. Argam Padyam Pushpe Dupe Aloke Gende Nevede Shapta Pratija Soha. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offering. May all wandering beings experience such a pure realm, whatever slight virtue that may have been gathered through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, I now dedicate to complete Bodhi. Namo to the Guru, the complete purity of phenomenal existence. I make offerings to you who manifest in the ground of phenomenal existence, and supplicate you for the total liberation of the three realms. Grant your blessings of dredging samsara from its very depths. Lord, wish fulfilling gem, ornament of my crown, beyond word and expression is your victorious mind, endowed with the five superior primordial wisdoms, epitome of love, the one with kindness, precious protector of wandering beings. I supplicate you in the innate state of my mind. Bless me in the state of suchness. Grant your blessings for realizing this primordially birthless and completely pristine mind as the Dharmakaya beyond thought. Now go to the general laying aside. Last great Guru, Vajra holder, and all you Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who reside in the 10 directions, and 3 times I, who am called Kunjo Yeshe Dorje, supplicate you, turn your awakened attention to me. From beginningless samsaric time until this very moment, under the power of the afflictive emotions, attachment, aggression, confusion, pride, and jealousy, I have committed the 10 non-virtuous actions. Through the gates of my body, speech, and mind, I have committed the 5 heinous crimes, and the 5 secondary heinous crimes. I have transgressed the individual liberation vows, transgressed the precepts of bodhisattvas, and transgressed the samayas of the great vehicle secret mantra. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards the 3 jewels. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards my gurus and teachers. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards my father and mother. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards my companions in the pure spiritual life. I have abandoned the sublime Dharma and disparaged the noble Sangha. In short, I now lay aside all faults and transgressions whatsoever that have become obstacles to the higher realms and to liberation, and that have become the cause for samsara and the lower realms. Before you, the great Guru Vajra holder, and all you Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and 3 times. I expose the faults, I confess them, I am contrite, I regret them, I will not conceal them, I will not hide them, henceforth I will restrain myself and abstain from them. If I do not expose and lay them aside, they will not be transformed. Therefore, by revealing and laying them aside, may they be cleared, may I be purified. Namo to the mandala of you, victorious Idam deities. Om, I expose and confess the broken samayas of the Vajra exalted body. I expose and confess the broken samayas of the Padma exalted speech. Hum, I expose and confess the broken samayas of the perfect exalted mind. Hri, I expose and lay aside the broken root and branch samayas. I expose and lay aside transgressions committed knowingly. I expose and lay aside transgressions committed unknowingly. The 3 non-virtues of the body, the 4 non-virtues of speech, the 3 non-virtues of the mind. I confess each of the 10 non-virtues individually. With faultless disciplined conduct, possessing completely pure disciplined conduct, and through the disciplined conduct that is free of arrogance, may the paramita of disciplined conduct be perfected. To glorious Vajrasattva I pay homage. Om Bhadra Zato Samaya Manapa. Om Bhadra Zato Samaya Manapa. Satatena Patita Dedame Sutokare. 지담스러 연구로 사도. Now turn to Nirnipa's Mahamudra manual, page 4. Page 4 here, is another reminder. You should contemplate the difficulty of obtaining the freedoms and advantages. Also contemplate impermanence and death, karmic causality, and the faults of samsara. So these are often called the four thoughts, the four contemplations, for the purposes of turning away from what? Turning away from distractions. So I want to take this moment to acknowledge and to congratulate everyone who is still participating in this, that you have not been distracted. Takes effort, to not be distracted. Takes merit to be able to continue and to stay. How many, actually want to do this, or they think they want to do this. After a while, this comes in, that comes in, all sorts of things, So you should take a moment, to kind of recognize and say, oh, I have not yet been distracted. I have not yet been derailed. Or, even though I was distracted, I had enough merit to pull myself away from those distractions. Sitting from this side, I remember this one passage from Kyopa Rinpoche's one teaching called the 84 Questions and Answers. It's the words there are not very clear what is referring to, but it's somewhere around a question of a student was asking Kyopa Rinpoche about something about the inexhaustible wheel of the Buddha activities of benefiting beings, and in particular benefiting beings by leading them in the Dharma, leading them away from the causes of suffering and leading them towards liberation. All of these activities of leading should be seen as Buddha's activities. And so in that sense, to the degree that I am doing it, it's not me. Don't think of it as me. And you should think of it as this itself. Buddha is not specific to this or that person. Buddha is the underlying awakened state that we are all that, you know. And the natural expression of that is the guiding of beings away from the causes of suffering and towards liberation, towards what's most natural to it. So in that sense, you can view this, as that, without projecting on, me as a person, being awakened. But that the underlying reality of all of us is Buddha from that perspective, right? So this guidance. So anyway, this question, makes a reference to that first. But then it also introduces, I think, the question, this is where it gets a little unclear, but the question also seems to then ask, if that's the case, what about, I think the question was, what about like the challenges that you face, in guiding and teaching? And Gilbert Rinpoche said, if I have attachment to those that I guide and teach, then it is not really guidance. So it sounds good, or it even sounds like yeah, sure, why not, or maybe, it can come across as, yeah. But both the question and its answer speaks to also, I think the reality of teachers, feeling like, oh, you have been guiding, or you think you have been guiding and helping, and then as mysteriously as, people appear, people also disappear. And, students come and go. And you think they are doing really well, but then poof, disappear. Then sometimes, poof, they reappear. Then poof, they disappear again, and it's easy, just the truth, easy to be discouraged by that. But, Kyopa Rinpoche said, if there is attachment, then it's not true guidance in any case. So that balance, right, between concern about and also not controlling. Attachment is talking about controlling. Right? So again, it comes back to the necessity of doing what we do suffused with metta, maitri, loving kindness, goodwill. And in order to radiate that, we have to experience that. And the more we suffuse ourselves with that, then the more naturally we will reject the opposite of that, what is obviously the opposite, the real kind of enemy, as it said, a mind of malice. But often I think we live in such realities that the complete opposite of Maitri is not often what we have to struggle with. What we have to struggle with more is the evil twin. And the evil twin of Maitri is possessiveness, right? Possessiveness. So how to kind of balance that, navigate that. So anyway, without attachment, as Kyoba Rinpoche says, I want to take this moment to say, congratulations. For your sake, congratulations. You have not yet been distracted. I hope. Now, here is the point. You have not yet been distracted. Here's the point. I hope because of the four thoughts that turn the mind. Because you could also be continuing for wrong reasons. That too is always there. Well, nothing else to do so early in the morning. Or, maybe something can happen, if I do this. Or maybe, I can be like him, All these kinds of reasons are not the reasons that should motivate us to practice the Dharma. And so the four thoughts that turn the mind are certainly not the only thoughts that you could use to turn the mind away from distractions. But even turning the heart away from distractions, there are skillful ways and there are unskillful ways. If we turn away from distractions due to attachment and aversion, then it's not skillful. The four thoughts that turn the mind is based on not attachment and aversion, but the four thoughts of mind is based on understanding. So we have to repeatedly go back to developing this clear understanding. That's why, the Kagyu masters in particular, like I said yesterday, all their Vajra songs, are basically two main points, the faults, the flaws, the problems, the heaviness of confusion and its consequences, the downsides of suffering, the heaviness of samsara. Again and again they remind us. Right? And you could say again and again they were reminding themselves. Again and again they were reminding themselves. Again and again they were reminding their disciples. Because the other point that they sing about is not a separate point. It's actually the other side of this point, which is also the natural state, the innate nature, the primordially present aspect of mind, which is all the wonderful things, all the things that get maybe people excited about, Mahamudra, or even more, some may say, well, Dzogchen is even better than that. As in, the claims are even bigger, So Milarepa himself, right, in his life story, when he finally like hit him at what he has done, out of malice, out of confusion, and the harm he has caused his relatives. In many ways, right, the harm he caused his relatives, you could say, is justified. He was wronged. He was clearly terribly wronged. But instead of recognizing a deeper reason for why him and his family was experiencing suffering, One point. Point two, how to overcome that situation. He was persuaded, he was influenced into thinking, using force is the solution. So then it said he learned, ways to harm his relatives. And he did that. Then, and it struck him how terrible it is that what he has done. That desperation made him quickly run away to look for a solution. It is said that then he met a teacher that was an authority on Dzogchen. And the teacher told him, I have a path, I have a method where if you cultivate, if you put into practice in the morning, you will taste the results in the evening. So he was very inspired. So then he did. But after a while of practicing that, it didn't work. This is not saying Dzogchen doesn't work. This is saying Milarepa doesn't have yet the karmic condition necessary. So then he had to look for another teacher. So don't get so excited by, oh, this is great, that is great. Even within the realm of Mahamudra, when we read about how the innate nature, spontaneously present, effortlessly accomplished, and so on and so forth, remember that as these Kagyupa masters were singing about the ease and the naturalness of recognizing the nature of mind and resting in nature of mind, they were also simultaneously singing about the dangers of samsara and how easy distractions can come and pull us away and drag us away. So as a method, this one practice called the practice of non-distraction is very important. And so there is the non-distraction that arises from skillfully reminding ourselves with the four thoughts that turn the mind. And then there is the non-distraction in the context of training the mind in the context of what we may label as formal meditation, which is maintaining body and mind in a way that there is presence of body and mind, and the mind is in the state of non-distraction. So then Gyoba Rinpoche said, this non-distraction, it's the single highway taken by, single highway traveled by, walked by all Buddhas of past, present, and future, keeping this mind undistracted. So for the first level, the first layer of being undistracted is the layer that arises from skillfully reflecting again and again on these four thoughts that turn the mind. So the first one says, recognize that now you have obtained that which is extremely difficult to obtain. And so then, I'm sure you have all heard the analogy of a blind turtle, this ancient blind turtle that lives in the bed of a great ocean, and is blind and it's old. Every 100 years, this turtle comes up to the surface of the ocean and sticks its necks out to look up into the sky. And on this great ocean, there is a plank. And then the analogy says this plank doesn't have a mind of its own, doesn't say, I want to go here, I want to go there. This plank is completely just mindlessly, right, floating on the surface of this great ocean. And then in the center of this plank, there is a hole big enough for this blind turtle's neck to poke through. And it says the chances of the turtle actually poking through this hole in this great ocean The chances of that happening, it says, is greater than the chances of obtaining this freedom and advantages that both you and I have right now. So then Buddha further gave, what are the freedoms? Free from 8 conditions. 8 conditions that will block our access to Dharma. To be born in the hell realms, to be born in the hungry ghost realm, to be born in the animal realm. These are 3. We're free from these 3. To be born in a place is called a barbaric land, where just common, good and bad, totally unrecognized, totally upside down. We're not born into those conditions. So there are 8 of these conditions that we are free from. Now, don't think, aha, free from them now, but actually we can easily fall into any of these 8, even right now, bearing this body of a human. Because the 3 lower realms are not just 3 places. The 3 lower realms are the result of 3 types of minds. Holding the body of a human, you could fall into the hell realms. And at that point, even the fact of having a human body, a human existence, doesn't prevent you from existing in the hell realm, in the hungry ghost realm, in the animal realm. How easily, even with this body, in this lifetime, holding up this birth certificate, traveling with this passport, you can still fall into the lower realms. The endowments are 2 sets. One set are personal endowments, and another set, you could say, is your environmental endowments. And the bottom line is like we have these freedoms and these advantages, these endowments, but then we could easily lose them. In that sense, people who have not continued doing this program, they have already lost their freedoms and advantages and their endowments. Now, some of us, may be diligently attending and practicing because things are not going well. You're sad. Then you think, oh, I will practice Dharma. Then ironically, now things are going well. You're like, okay, ta-ta. I have other things to do now. That happens. Then some of us, we are practicing, we are attending because it feels really good, And then overnight, something happens. Oh, now I'm sad. I don't want to practice because I don't look the part now. Yeah, some of us are practicing because right now everything feels like they're in the right place, including you feel like you are in the right place because you like this image of, oh, I am a Mahamudra practitioner. Oh, everything is going so well, But then something happens. Usually, not just one thing. One thing happens, then next thing happens, then next thing happens. Now, you feel like, I don't look the part now. Then you could also leave, So it's the proverbial, so we're so delicate. It's the proverbial, it's too hot, I cannot practice. It's too cold, I cannot practice. It's too wet, I cannot practice. It's too dry, I cannot practice. And we come up with all kinds, of effort to not practice, to not stay undistracted. Oh, I'm no longer inspired. That can happen. That happens because, not because you're no longer inspired. Usually when that happens, you feel I'm no longer inspired. Actually, it's showing you, in the first place, probably never inspired, or inspired by the wrong things. Again, many reasons why we practice. But if they're not based on a clear view, if they're not based on the insights given by the four thoughts that turn the mind, then it's very unstable, our practice. So this steadying our practice, that is what it is about. Steadying the mind, samadhi. So these seemingly preliminary, these seemingly kind of basic issues are at the core of what we are training. Not moving, not be shaken so easily, not being distracted so easily. Stay on the path. Oh, I don't have a job, so I have time. Now I'll practice. Oh, good news. I have a job now. Okay, I cannot practice. I have a job. It works very nicely for me to do morning practice, then go to my job. Oh, then it goes well, goes well, goes well. Oh, now I've lost my job. Oh, I'm not in. I don't feel like waking up to do the practice. What's the point? See, we can lose these freedoms and advantages even while within this body. So then reflecting on impermanence, on change, on death, don't take for granted. Don't take for granted. Cherish, really value, the opportunities that we have to practice. I want to take a moment to also recognize, I've done this before, I do it again, to kind of really kind of say, this is how wonderful, how inspiring. Yeah. And I hope this continues is, I see every morning, Rocio's mom, what a wonderful circumstance both of you have, you know. This is like really, really unimaginable good karma for both of you to continue like this. You can help each other, It's such a wonderful circumstance. So may we all have this kind of circumstance, one way or another. It can happen for all of us in different ways. And some of us have this circumstance also. You have this circumstance, value that, okay? Don't try to go convert your family. That will just drive them away. But make this aspiration, may my practice be beautiful. May my practice be attractive. So that whoever it is around me, given their right karma, they will come in this direction. So Buddha said again and again, surrounding yourself with the Kalyana Mitra. He uses this term, which means virtuous friends. Friends of virtue is very important. One time, Ananda, his cousin and attendant, was reflecting on how helpful it is, to be surrounded by Dharma friends, real, genuine Dharma friends, not just we are in the same club, we are in the same Buddhist organization, that not necessarily yet Dharma friends, yeah. But Ananda was reflecting on how helpful it is to have Dharma friends. And he said to the Buddha, he said, oh, it feels like, having Dharma friends is getting half of the job done, you know? And the Buddha actually corrected him and said, no, having Dharma friends, having virtuous friends, is the whole project, is the whole project. By that, he doesn't mean, you should not have friends who are not Dharma practitioners. Doesn't mean that, But it does mean, without intentionally putting ourselves in a context and environment where friends of virtue will encourage our virtuous practice, then it's very easy to fall away. In that sense, almost all of you, all of us in this group, with maybe exception, I see now Leonard. Leonard is in the and Hernie in Indonesia and Leonard in Malaysia. You all are in traditional Buddhist cultures, more or less, even though you live in Muslim majority country, but there's enough of a history of Buddhism. And so not so challenging in some ways. There are challenging parts, There Buddha Dharma often becomes just magic, magic thinking. So that's the challenge that you have to navigate. But not so challenging as the rest of you. You are living in context where it's easy, not because people are trying to convert you to other religions, but you're living in an environment where Dharma practice is very rare. So cherish your Dharma connections. Cherishing Dharma connections means, easy or hard is not the reason for you to stay around or to walk away. Cherishing your Dharma connections mean, it's not going to be easy, but these are your safe guards. You prevent each other from going too far into distraction. So you have to cherish those freedoms and advantages that you have. You have to be aware, alert to how quickly impermanence and death of many types can happen even while within this body. Impermanence and change of many types within this body can derail us. So that's why there are these prayers, aspiration prayers, that says, if my karma is such that sickness is going to manifest, let it manifest. If my karma is such that freedom from sickness is going to be happening, let it be free. But in either case, let me not abandon the Dharma. Again, some of us may be diligently practicing because we have some kind of health issues. And then we're hoping, Dharma can distract me from worrying about that. Then, good news! You don't have that problem anymore. Oh, okay. Then, slowly, I'll say, Tata Dharma, gone. Again, good health. Oh, Yes, I fit the image now. I'm practicing. Then bad news, Oh, Dharma is not working. Then tata again. Oh, you know, again, very delicate. Yeah. But the more we understand karmic cause and effect, yeah, then we become more and more stable. Yeah. We become more and more stable. Yeah. We become more and more steady. We don't move so easily. So this third point, yeah, to be able to see karmic causality. Karmic causality, to be able to understand and to see its general principles. I don't mean, investigate every case. Oh, what is the cause? Oh, what is the effect? Oh, what are the side conditions? That, in fact, the Buddha says, if you think too much about that, you get caught up in a thicket of views, opinions, speculations. He says, don't do that. When we say karmic causality, is we're talking about the general principles of cause and effect. Knowing that, recognizing that, understanding that, then trust in that. If you need to have faith, place your faith there. Place your trust there. Because as you place your faith there, as you place your trust there, you don't need to fight so much. You can settle. Not settle into like, not settle into like a state of being satisfied with mediocrity, but settle into really working on uprooting, giving less power to the afflictive emotions, seeing the disadvantages of the afflictions, seeing the faults of samsara, seeing the faults of confused existence, seeing the faults of delusion, of attachment, of aversion. In the end, all liberation is personal, as in pertains to only the individual. As much as the Mahayana motivation is universal, but when liberation actually happens, right? Objectively, it's a personal experience. You cannot achieve liberation for someone else. You eat food, you become full. The person watching you eat is not going to get full. So, in the end, but by you becoming full, so this is where the bodhisattva uh, activity works. By you becoming full, you have strength to offer food to others. Offer food to others. You cannot force feed others. In extreme cases, you may force feed others. You may put a drip for someone who is so weak that they cannot chew. Yes, but all those are temporary interventions. In the end, if you cannot show this person the value and the meaningful of eating, then all those are just temporary interventions. So we want to aspire, our bodhisattva aspiration, that our practice becomes beautiful, that our practice becomes attractive, that all beings with that karma, especially those around us, will want to come practice the Dharma. And in that way, we work on ourselves for the benefit of others. Again and again, come back to these four thoughts that turn the mind. When these four thoughts that turn the mind are done in the right way, then it changes the quality of our practice. Our practice becomes real Dharma practice. So may the Dharma turn into the Dharma. May the Dharma that we think we are practicing actually go towards the Dharma. First Dharma is the specific practices, the specific discipline that we have adopted. May it go towards the Dharma. Second Dharma is may it be in accordance with reality. That's another meaning of Dharma. May it actually coincide, may it actually go along with Dharma, and not just a semblance of the Dharma, or even worse, not Dharma. There's a lot of not Dharma masquerading as Dharma. And not because there are some evil people, out to get us, but the power of delusions. Yeah. So strengthen this understanding of the four thoughts. Examine these four thoughts. Pay attention to in our kind of beyond cushion practice as you go about your day. Reflect back again and again on these 4 points, so that we can give rise to what's called a determined kind of emerging, so that we we become determined that we want to come out of, to emerge from the cycle of birth and death. Another wonderful condition I see here is the Morgan and Tammy embarking on another set of extended retreat. They are attending these daily teachings as part of the framing of their retreat, but otherwise they're not engaged with other things that are going on in the world. How wonderful this opportunity to be able to support each other like this. And so, His Holiness, at the age of 80, once again, showing by example the necessity of practice, and the necessity of not being distracted. So please, work on these four thoughts that turn the mind. Then in a skillful way, we turn our attention to Dharma, so that our Dharma practice is actually going in the direction of Dharma. Then Gampopa says, then Dharma can turn into the path. Dharma can become path, meaning Dharma then actually becomes the process of waking up. Path simply means process, For some of us, Dharma is a label, an identity, or even a fashion statement. And so Dharma has not yet become the path. Dharma becomes the path when Dharma is the process that we are adopting to wake up When Dharma becomes the path can then clear confusion. Is Dharma the path yet? Well, is our process leading to less confusion, more clarity, more determination, seeing more clearly all these distractions, knowing how to cultivate non-distraction, knowing how to cultivate effortlessness, giving up effort in maintaining the confusion? Then confusion can dawn as wisdom. The darkness of the night will be dispelled by the sun of wisdom that rises. So these are the four dharmas of Gampopa. May Dharma move towards the Dharma. May Dharma now turn into the path. May path clear confusion. May confusion be dispelled by wisdom. And so using the FiveFold Mahamudra as the method, as the framing principle for our practice, bodhicitta, the resolve to achieve enlightenment, no matter how long it takes, no matter how many lifetimes, to come back again and again, to continue this process, making this resolve, not just for ourselves, but also to be able to be of genuine help and assistance and guide to all beings. Letting this resolve, this bodhicitta, this awakened resolve, now take on the form of the idam, whatever the idam that you may practice. Remembering the Guru, the emptiness aspect of this appearance of idam. This emptiness is not just a mere absence of the afflictions, not just the mere absence of the confusions, not just a mere absence of kleshas, but it's also the presence of the qualities. The innate nature is the Guru. The appearance aspect is the idam. And from within this state, rest in the bindu that you are cultivating in the center. The center can be the blue bindu in the heart center, or the golden yellow bindu in the navel center, or the red bindu in the throat center, or the white bindu in the crown center. Stay in the center. Don't lean to the left, don't lean to the right. With body upright, with mind centered, keep centering. Keep centering, keep centering. The center or the middle is the path beyond all extremes of yes and no, of like and dislike, free from all of these partialities. Remain centered. Remain settled in the center, steady but radiant, radiant and yet unmoving. Kyoba Rinpoche especially advises that if you don't have a special idam naturally, then you can adopt his idam, Avalokiteshvara, Kuan Yin, in whatever form of Avalokiteshvara is most familiar to you, that can be adopted as your idam. Or if we follow this manual, then it's co-emergent, Jakasamvara. Or in the Lajrup system, the outer guru, the outer idam being Shakyamuni, the inner being Vajradhara, hold the center, remain in the center. Don't lean to the left, don't lean to the right. Let all your energy, let all your focus, let all your attention, let all your efforts flow into the center. Stay in the center. Without going left or right, without going forward or backwards. Stay in the center. The center that is without reference point. The center that is, in the end, also without center or periphery. The all-pervading center. The very nature of your mind in the form of a bindu. So today we will end here, page 78. By the virtues collected in the three times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtues, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. Changchu Semcho Rinpoche Ma Ge Ba Na Ge Gu Che Ge Ba Nyam Pa Me Ba Yang Gong Ne Gong Du Bell War Shou. Okay, bye bye.